Hello students, I am Shatabdi Acharya from Vedang Institute of Technology. So in the previous lectures we had so much of like bond, ionic bond, covalent bond, this bond, that bond. But how exactly a bond is formed? Okay, how, be it ionic bond or covalent bond, how is a bonds formed? The formation of bond is given by Lewis dot structure. Lewis dot structure. Okay, so Lewis dot structure is based on again octet rule. What is octet rule? The electron in the outermost shell the atom has to have 8 electrons in its outermost shell, right? And in order to be stable, it has to acquire that much amount of electrons. Now, for acquiring that electron, the atom undergoes its own hustle like losing electron, gaining electron, sharing electron, and based on that we have our ionic bond as well as covalent bond. So, Lewis dot structure, first we will see how to draw a Lewis dot structure for a ionic bond. Okay, so basically Lewis dot structure is based on the octet rule. First of all, what Lewis said is electrons, or more precisely I can say valence electrons around the atom are represented as dots. Okay, electrons are represented as dots. Keeping this point in mind, we will draw our structures. First of all, let us see for ionic bond. Okay, in case of ionic bond, what was happening? There was loss and gain of electrons, right? So, we will understand the Lewis dot structure for ionic bond taking an example, our very famous example, sodium chloride. So, if I write the electronic configuration for sodium 11, it is 2, 8, 1. So, how I will represent this sodium according to Lewis? Its valence electrons are only represented. So, symbol Na, 1 valence electron, so 1 dot. Next is chlorine, atomic number 17, electronic configuration 2, 8, 7. Now I can represent 7 as dots again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and electrons like to exist as pairs. Okay, so I will try making as much as pairs as possible. So if 7 electrons are there, I can make 3 pairs, that will be 6 electrons gone and 1 unpaired electrons. Okay, 2, done, and this is my unpaired electrons. Now what happens? Sodium loses this 1 electron to form Na plus, and in Na plus this 8 becomes its valence shell, right? After it loses this 1 electron, this 8 comes out to be its valence shell. So 8 becomes 4 pairs of electrons around sodium. Fair enough. This is our Na plus. Now when the electron is lost by sodium, that electron is only gained by chlorine, and when chlorine gains that 1 electron, it becomes 2, 8, 8. Now chlorine becomes Cl, 4 pair again, minus. Now these ions Na plus and Cl minus, they like exhibit a electrostatic force of attraction in between them, which we call the ionic bond, and they basically exist as, they form NaCl. This is the structure for NaCl. If we take another example like KCl, KCl and another MgCl2. Okay, for potassium the atomic number is 19 and it's 17 for chlorine. For magnesium it's 12, again 17 for chlorine. If I take the electronic configuration of potassium, it turns out to be 2, 8, 8, 1. Okay, we can obviously do the 1s2 2s2 configuration, but it's also okay. For magnesium, okay, first let's deal with KCl, then we'll come to MgCl2. For chlorine, 2, 8, 7. I'm so sorry for my handwriting. Okay, so potassium it's 281, chlorine is 287. If I try to draw the Lewis dot structure for potassium, yeah, Lewis dot structure for potassium, K 1 dot because 1 valence shell electron. For chlorine again 7, and it likes to exist as pairs, so 3 pairs, 1 unpaired electrons. Now potassium loses 1 electron, it becomes K plus, and it has 8 electrons in its outermost shell. Chlorine, it gains that 1 electron, it becomes Cl negative. It also acquires a stable octet configuration, Cl minus, and a bond is formed between K plus and Cl minus. Now if I say MgCl2, the electronic configuration for Mg will be 2, 8, 2. Chlorine, it is 2, 8, 7. Magnesium, it loses 2 electrons. Okay, magnesium's outermost electronic configuration is 282. So either it has to lose that 2 electron, or it has to gain 6 more electrons to acquire a stable octet configuration. But going on hunting for 6 electrons is not that easy for magnesium, or magnesium is very lazy to go do that process. So what basically it does is it loses these 2 electrons to form Mg plus 2, again acquiring 8 electrons in its outermost configuration in the process. It loses 2 electrons. Now if we see the formula, we have 2 chlorine atoms, okay, again with the same electronic configuration. So here 1 Cl minus loses, or sorry, gains 1 electron, it forms Cl negative. Another chlorine atom comes, it also gains another 1 electron, it forms Cl minus, and there is electrostatic force between this plus 2 and minus minus, and as a result our MgCl2 is formed. So this is basically the Lewis dot structure for ionic compounds. Now we will see how actually, like what all exact changes are happening when an ionic bond is formed. Okay, so we know ionic bond is formed between a metal and a non-metal, right? So if I consider our metal, our very own traditional example, sodium. Sodium in normal state, or metals in normal state, exist as solids. Okay, metals exist as solids, but in that solid state they are very unreactive, because as we knew, like in our lower classes what we studied, in case of solids the constituent atoms or molecules are very tightly packed among themselves, right? They have very low chances of movement. They are not allowed, or their movements are very restricted. Therefore in that state they are so compact that they can't even breathe or move, so they are very unreactive in solid state. In order for a metal to react, they have first to be converted to a gaseous state. So sodium metal has to be provided some energy to convert itself into sodium gas. And we know the process of conversion of solid to gas is called sublimation. So we need to provide this sublimation energy to sodium in order to convert it from solid to the gaseous state. Now after the conversion of gaseous state, sodium has to lose 1 electron in order to form Na plus, and then only it will form a bond with chlorine or chlorine negative. So if sodium needs to lose one electron. Okay, suppose I have to donate something of mine, anything of mine I have to donate. It will any which ways be not be that easy for me, right? You suppose I have a chocolate and you have to take it from me. So you have to pull that chocolate from me. You have to invest your energy in pulling that chocolate, right? So same is the case for sodium also. In order for sodium to lose one electron to convert into Na plus, some amount of energy has to be given. Okay, some amount of energy has to be given to sodium to convert it to Na plus. And the amount of, again in gaseous state, the amount of energy that has to be given for an atom to convert into an ion is known as ionization energy. Ionization energy, or you can also write it as ionization potential. Okay, so the amount of energy required for a neutral gaseous atom to extract one electron or lose one electron to get converted to a positive gaseous ion is called as ionization enthalpy, or yeah, again we got a new term, it can also be called as ionization enthalpy or ionization potential or ionization energy. And always remember, whenever we need to input energy, whenever energy is given, then it is positive. The energy that is given is represented in a positive sign, and normally energy is represented as del H. Okay, here ionization potential, so del H IP, it is positive because energy has always to be supplied to the metal in order to lose that electron. Okay, so Na gaseous requires that ionization potential to lose itself or to lose one electron and form sodium gas, Na plus gas. Now let's see what's about chlorine. Chlorine is a non-metal. Okay, now chlorine exists as Cl2. Now chlorine, a non-metal always exists in the gaseous state. Okay, so chlorine is present as a gas. What we have to do is, here see, two chlorine atoms are bonded to each other, right? So first we have to give some energy to break the bond. Breaking the bond is otherwise known as dissociation of the bond. So the amount of energy that is given is called as, amount of energy that is given to break this bond is called as bond dissociation energy. Now when bond dissociation energy is given, what happens? Chlorine molecule breaks, giving one chlorine gaseous atom. Here what happens? Basically it gives two chlorine gaseous atom. Here what it happens, we will take only one. Now we need to form Cl minus. How Cl minus is formed? When chlorine gains one electron. So now see here, if you have to take one electron from sodium to give Na plus, we had to supply energy. Here if we had to give one electron to chlorine, suppose for example you need to give me a chocolate. Okay, do you need to invest energy in me? Obviously not, because taking up is very easy for me, or everybody likes to take up, right? We all are selfish, so is our atom. So what happens? Chlorine takes up one electron and releases some amount of energy. Okay, so chlorine what happens? Takes up one electron to form a Cl negative gas and it releases some energy in the process. The amount of energy released when a neutral isolated gaseous atom gains electron. Okay, neutral because there is no charge, isolated because it is not bonded to any other atom. Okay, neutral, isolated, obviously it is in gaseous state, so gaseous atom. The amount of energy released when a neutral isolated gaseous atom takes up one electron to form a negatively charged gaseous ion is called as electron gain enthalpy is called electron gain enthalpy. It is represented as del Heg because electron gain. So del Heg, and see here energy was supplied, so it was taken as positive. Here energy is released, therefore it's taken as negative. Okay, now what happens? We got our Na plus and Cl minus ions in hand. Now basically we just have to form a bond between Na plus and Cl minus. Now remember, when we started ionic bond, I said ionic bonds or ionic compounds exist as three-dimensional structure called as lattice, right? So what happens? Now the work of Na plus and Cl minus is to aggregate themselves. They have to collect or bond between themselves to form a three-dimensional crystal lattice. So when they form three-dimensional crystal lattice, or when they form a home for them, okay, they form a three-dimensional structure or a home for them. There they will be stable, they will be calm, they don't have to do any work, they will be like relaxed and chilled. So in that state, in a stable state, what will be the state of energy? Obviously, energy is inversely proportional to stability. So if stability is high, energy will be low. In order to lower the energy, what they have to do? They had taken up some energy in the process. So basically they have to release that amount of energy, or they have to release some amount of energy to form lattice. So the amount of energy that is released when sodium and chlorine or sodium and chloride ions form lattice is called as lattice energy. Or, sorry, I've written it twice, called lattice energy, or again energy is otherwise called as enthalpy. Okay, so these are the energy transactions which happen between the atoms to form ions and to form at the end ionic bond. Now let us see on what factors the formation of ionic bond will depend. Factors affecting the formation of ionic bond. Okay, so what are the factors that will affect the formation of ionic bond? Basically it depends upon three factors. One is ionization enthalpy, or ionization potential or ionization energy, you can use it alternatively. Second is electron gain enthalpy, and the third is lattice energy. So basically before discussing these factors, always remember atoms are also like humans. Okay, we want to be stable, we want to be calm, we don't want to do any work, we don't want to be in a excited state anytime, so like normally we don't want to do any work, right? So atom also try to like release all their energy in the process of forming bond, and they want to become stable. Okay, so first is ionization enthalpy. What we learned, what ionization enthalpy is, it is the amount of energy required to remove an electron from a neutral isolated gaseous atom to form a positive gaseous ion. Okay, so if an atom is very reluctant in losing its electron, okay, if an atom is very stubborn and the atom do not want to like release its electron to form cation or to form any positive ion, right? So will it be easy for the formation of ionic bond? Obviously no, because ionic bond is formed excuse me, only when then atom loses electron to form a positive ion, right? So when the atom does not or is very reluctant in losing electrons, then what we have to do in the process? we have to supply more energy. Okay, we have to give more, or we can say its ionization enthalpy increases. So higher the value of ionization enthalpy, more difficult it is for the atom to form a positive ion, and more difficult will be the formation of ionic bond. So what we can write? Conversely, we can write lesser the ionization enthalpy, easier is the formation of ionic bond. Fair enough. Of ionic bond. So if an atom is very willingly giving its electron, okay, okay, so fine, you take my 1 electron, 2 electrons or 3 electrons, beyond that it cannot give. So if an atom can easily give its electron, then we don't have to supply that much amount of energy, and the ionic bond formed will be easy, like ionic bond will be formed very easily. Next we see electron gain enthalpy. Okay. So what was electron gain enthalpy? The amount of energy given to the atom, right? The amount of energy, the amount of energy given by the atom or released by the atom when it gains one electron. Now again I said energy is inversely proportional to stability. So if energy released is very, or I can say more is the negative value of electron gain enthalpy, stronger will be the ionization, stronger will be the ionic bond. If more amount of energy is released, then the atom is very stable. Okay, the atom becomes very stable, and therefore in order to attain that stability, the atom easily loses its electron, the atom easily takes up the electron to form a anion, right? So if the value of ionization enthalpy is more negative, then the ionic bond formed is very easy. Del H is directly proportional to ease of formation of ionic bond. Okay, so if the value of electron gain enthalpy is more negative, then the atom, when it takes up electron to become an anion, it gives more amount of energy in the process, and like if the energy lost from the atom is more, the atom becomes more and more stable. Therefore in that process, ease of formation of ionic bond will be also high. Next is lattice energy. What is lattice energy? Lattice energy is basically the amount of energy released. We can understand it in two ways. When Na plus and Cl minus, they come together, they form a three-dimensional structure, we call it lattice. So if the amount of energy released during that lattice, it is called lattice enthalpy. Or if I am breaking the lattice, okay, Na plus Cl minus, they come together, they form a lattice. If I am supplying some amount of energy to break that lattice, that can be also called as lattice energy. So if the lattice energy is high, okay, then ionic bond will be stronger, right? So lattice enthalpy or lattice energy is also directly proportional to the strength of ionic bond. If the amount of energy released is more while the formation of a lattice, or the amount of energy required is more to break a lattice, then the ionic bond will obviously be considered stronger, right? So here in this lecture we have learnt about how an ionic bond is formed, or Lewis dot structure for an ionic bond, and what are the energy transactions happening during the formation of ionic bond, and the various factors that affect the formation of ionic bond. So that's all for this video. I hope whatever we have learnt is clear to you. We will continue further in the next video. Thank you.